Welcome back to the Recovery Channel. I'm your host, Chris Donner. Today, I have something a bit special. In my first three-way ever, my next guests are very close friends of mine from the old army days, and are both on their own journey to transition back into civilian life. Please welcome Ramey fitter Ryan and recovery mechanic and inspiring YouTuber Zach from Aussie Lightning on YouTube. I think you kids used to might need to sit closer together.
Yeah. Stop touching
Just Ryan, sit on Zach's lap.
Oh, I did.
That'll be perfect. And then we'll start recording or something when you've got to move into position. That's pretty cool.
Obviously, that's got a big white banner on it, but that's because of where I have to upload it.
But what's the... Oh, so dude's sitting on the back of the thing. Is that like a...
So essentially, that's me.
Yeah, but is that like a first draft sort of thing?
No, that's the final. Like it's not meant to be like full realistic.
Yeah. Why are you sitting on the back of an M1? You're recovering.
Because
armor.
He did one for Turbo, and she's got a... What's she got? I think it was a... what's the vehicle? Was it Humvee? Yeah. She's got one with a Humvee, and I'm like, I don't want a Humvee with an Australian flag on it.
Yeah.
Need the Range Rover, man.
Yeah, so that's the one he did for her. Still cool,
Yeah.
but, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter because she plays armour and Humvee's shooting armour, but I was like, nah, fuck that, I like tanks, and M1s are quite, like, they're cool. I mean, they're not my favourite, but
They're our battle tank.
they're our battle tanks, so I was like, that'll do.
Should have got the Challenger 2s.
Challenger
But,
2s, you reckon?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we go...
Actually, no, we should have got the fucking Leopard 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
I
was
thought-
parts that are fucking integrated.
They got Leopard 3s
Leave
now.
it alone! Stop touching my microphone!
They got Leopard 3s now.
Do they?
Yeah, and they're heaps. There's so much technology in them.
Yeah. Well, fucking German then. What do you think's going on?
Yeah, I know. Germans are so far ahead. Look at BMW cars.
Yeah. Well, fucking pretty much anything these days that they make is incredible. Even their cheap fucking luxury cars, like the Audis, sort of cheap, are fucking immaculate.
Just, I think affordable is
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
term.
yeah.
Yeah. No, they're very nice cars. And reliable too, I've heard. A lot of people who haven't
Yeah,
reckon they're pretty reliable.
yeah.
They would be. They'd be fucking expensive to fix.
Yeah, well, it's all fucking import parts.
Yeah.
As well. Especially from Europe. It's just fucking money grabbing.
Yeah.
It's not stupid. Works.
They should... Have you seen any of them, the Russian Ladas in Australia?
The what?
The Ladas? They're
Oh,
like
those-
a four-wheel drive hatchback thing.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any. I'm hoping I never do.
They're pretty good. I've seen a few videos on YouTube where they're at like winch comps and stuff. It's just funny.
God. I'll tell you what, fucking Subarus are looking good these days as well.
Yeah?
My brother's Lavorg when I was home.
What's a Vorg?
Lavorg. It's like a fucking... It's a wagon, Subaru wagon, sports wagon. Turbocharged fucking boxer engine thing. It's a weapon.
Oh, yeah.
And just all the features and luxury. The steering wheel was incredible.
Yeah.
It's got those sensors that most new cars have these days.
Mm.
On your cruise control, and so there's a car in front of you slowing down, the car will slow down as the traffic comes. It's fucking really cool.
Yeah, my BT50 is 2015 model, and I jumped into my boss's, I think he's got a 2014 200 series.
Yeah.
And it's got like the 360 camera,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was so flash. It blew my mind looking at it, and I was like,
It's fucking Land Cruiser.
yeah, but you can tell that it's just a superimposed like side camera,
Yeah.
because it's all like rolls out towards the edges and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you could have just got a fucking audio splitter in there.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I was thinking about that the other day.
Well, I have one of them as well.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got heaps of shit. These don't even fit to that extent. Oh,
Yeah, they extend.
This one.
I fucking need.
Just want to see what it sounds like through these headphones compared to those headphones.
They should sound alright.
Yeah.
Because these are almost 8 years old now.
Just need a fucking Get your microphone closer so
Yeah,
you
I
can
do.
talk.
I do need to get my microphone closer.
Yes, you do.
Stop it, Zach. This isn't ASMR.
That's all you're going to be hearing.
Don't blow it in my face. Oh.
Extendo dick.
Extend that deep.
That'll
So,
work.
what are you going to do with your channel on YouTube? It's Aussie Lightning, isn't it?
Yeah. Just YouTube the shit out of it.
Yeah. You're just going to do armor videos.
Yeah. I just want to make it more fucking... No, you're already fucking recording, cunt.
Yeah, I've been for the last 10 minutes. Yeah.
Like waiting to go, yeah, right, we're going to start, we'll do the intro, fucking... And he's just
I like it this way,
recording.
because we're already talking. Like,
I'm talking shit already, so you might as well fucking record it.
Not even ready. Now he's going to have fucking ASMR shit.
that's alright. I'll have to edit this one heavily, I reckon.
Alright, cut.
Cool.
You gotta start it with the...
What are you doing? Just setting a mark. Just setting a mark. Yeah, so were you going to stick to armor videos, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's the primary. I mean, that's the big thing that I play and spend a lot of hours in. But at the same time, I'll be uploading footage from other games and stuff when I get around to it. When I
Come back to it, mate.
yeah, I probably will. Once I get set up, and I really need to get a decent computer upgrade to be able to record a lot of games, because it's sort of Armour's kind of its limit, just due to technology and the fact that it's old. So once I get around to it and upgrade and stuff, I'll be able to upload or record better stuff like fucking better games, Tarkov, Battlefield, fucking whatever else I decide. I'll still be recording other stuff, like Company Heroes, Age of Empires when we play and stuff. I'll probably upload them. Yeah, I'm not there to upload fucking best gameplay. I'm just there for shits and gigs, and I'll be recording, as much as I can with what I play. And if they're like Armour, the intent is to upload full operations, and then probably also do shorter clip videos of like the sort of subtitled funny stuff, if I can get the footage. And then other games, it just depends, like Company of Heroes and stuff. If I get enough footage that's somewhat decent or funny, or whether I upload full gameplay or not, depends, because I don't want to upload, an hour and a half long video of just an Age of Empires game, because it can be pretty boring. But at the same time, if we fucking, when we play, we're normally piss taking,
It was boring.
having fun,
Watching us get massacred for 5 minutes.
by AI. But then,
Time kicks over.
fucking Burgie is going to be like great for footage, because anytime something happened, like Tarkov was the best, because you hear something and then you just hear Burgie go, ah, shit, and then, contact, and it's just great, because
A lot of autistic screeching.
a lot of autistic screeching, which is like perfect for YouTube. So 10 out of 10 autistic screeching. So Burgie, get on it. And I'll that'll be the plan. Hopefully I get lucky and it takes off a bit, or I mean, it's more for the fun factor. It's enjoyable. If I get more people watching and have fun with it, and if it gets popular, it gets popular. If not, I'll just share it to all my friends who think I'm cool, or probably mum, because she says I'm cool. And
She loves you no matter what,
she's
mate.
my best friend. She likes and subscribes, so yeah.
Have you looked in the live streaming on like Twitch or Mixer, or because that's like more for long play sort of stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's again, technology restrictions. Just until a certain unnamed Australian NBN provider that I won't name provides me with NBN.
Talking about Optus, aren't you?
I'm not going to say anybody's names. But basically, I'm currently operating off a 5G Wi-Fi adapter, which is ridiculously expensive for the amount of data I get, and 100 gig doesn't last long, so I'm very limited at the moment. And streaming again, it's going to be hardware because it uses the same software I use to record, and I'm already limited with what I can do, and trying to stream and record at the same time is possibly going to be too much for my computer. So it's until I can upgrade and get to that, it'll probably be a way off. But yeah, definitely looking into it. Hopefully get some more free time throughout the year and get a bit of a schedule, and if I can test it and adjust it, I'll see how it goes. If I can at least get it working, I might. But I feel that I'm going to need that sort of technical upgrade before it'll actually be anything that's worth suitable for the applications. It's something that I'd definitely look into, and go from there really. And
Just buy a whole new build. You're going to need to.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Depending, it's all budget as always.
Yeah.
Shit costs money, so I'm hoping at least. Apparently, I can upgrade. Like, I've only got a GTX 970, which is old as shit, but you can get a 1060 for a couple $100, which is at least a small upgrade, which might at least assist with the recording side of things.
1070 to
Yeah, well, I mean, when I can do a build, I'll be going for a 2080 with everything. But
you'll need it.
That's, I really do need a new box, but that's, $3,000 ish.
Yeah.
And it's just out of the limit at the moment, so if I can use what I got or tweak it a little bit to hopefully just improve it somewhat, then that's going to be beneficial. But yeah, to actually get a proper upgrade, I'm going to need to get a few dollars saved up, and
I had to upgrade mine the other day just to play Tarkov. I had to fucking replace my RAM cards. I was only running 8 gig, and load times were fucking ridiculous.
No, mate.
Chuck 32 gig in it, and it's like, sweet.
Yeah. No. Well,
It was a massive jump, but
that's because Tarkov takes more leaks than I do with its fucking RAM.
Oh yeah.
I really explore come at you.
Yeah, I was watching my fucking just watching the RAM usage, and it was 97%.
Yeah, good.
When loading into a map.
Yep. Leaks more than Jono on the piss.
Yeah.
It's alright. I stream from my play. Like, I don't know how, but the consoles seem to be able to stream without a drama. At the PS4 does 1080p.
Yeah.
So I don't have any dramas with YouTube. I just stream at 720 because the internet around here isn't too good, as you said.
No.
So.
Yeah, well, I mean, consoles are sort of integrated.
They're purely built for it.
Their hardware is designed for what they do. So, streaming from a console already has it set up, and you sort of not. I guess it's sort of different as well, because it's not a bunch of different inputs and outputs. It's sort of got game and audio, and it just sends it out, and it's already designed for the purpose of playing games and set up for that. Whereas
gaming console,
sort of
sole purpose. So
my PC is a gaming PC. It's just friggin' hell, 5 years old or some shit. It's a technological dinosaur in the terms of how fast technology goes. So definitely due for an upgrade. But you know,
you can still play Armour.
Send money, please. Like and subscribe. It'll make me rich.
Oh. So are you going to look in that as a career option for when you separate from the army?
I mean, it's one of those things. I guess it's, these days it's every bloody young teenager's dream. It's a bit of a pipe dream. When I finish up, work-wise, I'm possibly going to have a bit of free time. So, definitely going to sort of use it for a focus. I've had a lot of issues medically, mentally, and so I've been just in a bad state, and so this, even just sort of that pipe dream, is giving me something to look towards. So it's kind of good to have something to actually sort of look at, think about, and I'm not just going home and just sitting on the computer just playing games all the time. I've been doing a bunch of sort of like research and looking into it, which is just something nice, a nice change to, change the brain up, and gives me something to sort of look at and think about. So I'm definitely looking at starting it out. I mean, it's an option, and ideally I'm probably going to study or something afterwards, and hopefully get a future career options open as well. But if it does take off, and I've managed to make a small income or something sustainable, then I'll definitely try grow it as well, because it's one of those things that, if it takes off, it can be quite good. And I mean, who doesn't want to be able to live off their own wage and not actually have to, be their own boss, I guess. So yeah, it'd be great. And if that was a thing that could happen and did happen, then I'd be all over it. But at the same time, it's not going to be my sole goal, because it's one of those theatres, for lack of a better word, where employment wise it's YouTube, Twitch, all those things are hard to sort of get to that point. Like, they're not hard to do. Streaming and YouTube videos are easy. You can upload anything, record anything. It's more getting that base of viewership and on YouTube subscribers and likers, and Twitch obviously subscribers and donations all add to the income. So it's not necessarily the most stable or reliable source of income, but if you get to that point where you get enough, you can use that as a somewhat sustainable income. So definitely something that would be cool to do, and if it did take off, then I'd be over the moon. But I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket, because if it goes nowhere, then I'm going to need an income of some sort. So it's one of those sort of mixed things where you can't commit everything to it, I don't believe. Like, I'm definitely going to, I've got goals and plans, and, it's all sort of rough, but keeping it regular and stuff like that is going to be a big thing. And if it does take off, then yeah, it becomes an option. But at the same time, I don't want it to be my only option at the end of the day, because if it doesn't take off, then I've got nothing. So
yeah,
it'll be good spending money if you take off.
Yeah, and that's sort of the plan. Is if it does, it'll be a not necessarily a main income, but just a nice extra bit of money to have that, likely in the early stages anyway, would get put back into it to upgrade bits and pieces to make the actual content better. And then from there, generally, if you can make your content better, theoretically it should grow, and then your income then increases, and then you could get to a point where it's livable. So it's all sort of it's a lot of numbers and stuff, and obviously not a persistent income in the sense that it's not just going to be, you paid the same paycheck every sort of week or whatever. Everything I've looked into, it's sort of like a monthly style payment that they do, and obviously it's based on a lot of things that you can't affect, like how many people watch, how many subscribers you get, how many people donate. All those sort of things mean that your income could be up and down and all over the shop. So it's definitely not an easy road, I guess, especially early on. So it's just one of those things. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. And yeah, so who knows? I might be famous one day, and I probably won't.
Yeah, it sounds like a tough road to start on. Just for the listeners out there, Zach and I have known each other since our enlistment, and at the moment, I've already separated years ago, but he's looking at his options for separation, and I think you're in the same boat
Yeah, I'll
too?
be getting med discharged soon. hopefully.
Yeah. So, I was thinking we should just reel this back a bit and start from the start. Do you guys regret? Because a lot of people do have regrets about joining the army. Do you guys have regrets from your first enlistment, and would that depend on what trade you did?
Nah, I mean, it's an experience. It's definitely not a regret. I mean, everything's got to happen, and I'm glad I did what I did. It was, you know, I've had a lot of good times with, you know, some really good people, and there's
Hang on, she's flat. Yeah.
I'll just wait, and you can plug it in and charge it, and then we can start again.
Oh, it's alright. It's
You
nothing
can
new.
chop it.
I will chop it. Actually, I'll have to because it's loud as shit.
Yeah. And we grab a drink.
Hey.
Break. Mate, we talk too much.
I can't actually pause this. What do you think, though, Ryan?
I wanted to join the army since I was little. It wasn't a regret. My biggest regret is that the army is not what it's made out to be. It's a typical 9 to 5 job. As a fitter and turner, anyway, it is. Typical 9 to 5 job. You barely do your trade. I haven't touched a mill or a lathe. About 3 years, I'd say, maybe longer. Which is just, I don't know, it's pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
Hence, when I discharge, I'm not going to be a fitter. I'm going to move into the IT side of things. But yeah, as Zach said, there's a lot of cool things that we've done throughout the years. A lot of good people I've met. A lot of good mates. They'll probably have for life. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no regrets. I mean, there's definitely things that I don't like or that have changed. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed in the 8 years that I've been around. It's definitely changed a lot, and that's the way with a lot of things. But I'm not going to get into politics because everybody hates politics.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I absolutely love my job, like what I did, and you know, towing shit around and you know, recovering broken shit and all that sort of stuff is great. And like the mates you do get out of it are just second to none. It's something you can't explain to people that haven't been in that situation. And I know that's a common thing that everybody, you know, hears from anyone that's been in the military or hears about it, and it's, you know, it's true. There's, you know, realistically, I guess these guys are guys you're trusting with your life, so to be, in that sense that if you're in that scenario. But I mean, I've moved states and known a person for 2 days, given him the keys to my house, and gone on holidays, and like, even the wife was like, you know, who's this guy? What are you doing? It's like, nah, don't worry, he's fine. Like, he's a mate. She's like, oh, how long have you known him? I'm like, you know, 2 days. Who would in a sort of civilian world give a guy they've known 2 days the keys to their house? Like, it's mates for life that you know. And you know, there's guys that, again, you know, from enlistment that I knew when we joined. I have never seen them since we joined, and still mates with them. I've seen dudes that I haven't seen in 6 years, and on the street, and said g'day, and then next thing you know, we're talking like old times, like we've known each other for, you know, ages. And even though we haven't seen each other, or, you know, we parted ways very early on, we're still, you know, still good mates, that sort of stuff. And so it's just one of those things that's, impossible to explain, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, Molly was saying that one of the fellas down at our rugby club is a mechanic, and he posted out like last year. And yeah, Molly the other day was asking how long I'd known him for, and I was like, probably any time I'd seen him at rugby all last season, so in a total maybe a week. And she's like, you guys act like you've been friends for years.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with Troy.
Troy Everson.
I think.
Which Troy?
Ex-military. Was it Troy from the rugby club?
He's not ex-army. You're talking about Jakey.
No, you introduced me to one of the guys. I thought he was ex-military.
Troy, the one that comes to Wings?
Yeah.
No, he's
No.
not ex-army. He's just
Oh.
cool.
He's cool. I don't know, well, maybe it wasn't an ex-military
Yeah.
guy, maybe
No,
it was a current guy. Or,
Yeah, there's a lot of ex-army
Like-
guys down at the... Oh, currently serving guys
and
down at
if you
Rugby
get introduced to someone and they're like, oh, you know, and someone might know them or, you know, and they're like, yeah, ex-military, and like, you pretty much click straight away.
There's
You
a
just-
certain mentality
yeah, you know,
that we have.
and
Sick.
forced down your
Can
throat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know you can just get along with people. It's just crazy how it's sort of that click happens and you just get along with people, and it's, you know, or even if you don't necessarily like people, you can still communicate with them. You can still fucking get normally what you need done or whatever it might be. Like, it's just, yeah, hard to explain, but it's different for sure. But no, like, there's definitely things that I've now got and keep forever, and you know, I'm part of the pony club, so that's all that matters.
Mm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. My experience in the army was really good too, and like, I wouldn't take anything back for a second. But there's a couple of days where I think, oh, if I was anything else, if I was infantry or armoured, would I have the same outlook?
Oh, look, I think, yeah, they you know, yes and no. I guess people do different jobs for reasons. You know, at the same time, like, I guess like every bloke or thing, you know, when I first had the idea, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to be infantry on the ground doing this, doing that. And then nowadays I'm like, no, you know, fuck that. I'm glad that I drive a truck. I don't want to walk 15 kilometres with a fucking 15, 20 kilo pack on my back. Stuff that. I'll drink my cold can of Coke and drive my truck, thanks.
Cook my barbecue while I walk past
Yeah.
with packs on.
You know, don't mind me with my bacon and eggs. You enjoy that ration.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, creature comforts that you get. But I guess at the same time, if I didn't know that world, I wouldn't care. Like, sort of thing. Like, you know, I guess, like, if I did become infantry, I'd probably be proud of that sort of a thing, if that makes sense, in its own way. Sort of hard to explain, but yeah. But no, I fucking, yeah. Glad I joined as a recce mech and did my raggy time. It's been good, and yeah, we do get it pretty good. So definitely a lot of good things. I mean, there's always ups and downs. You get some pretty big downs. You know, shit gets hard. I mean, you know, it sucks when you're out and it's raining and you're sitting in a hole and it's 3 a.m. and it's freezing cold and the wind is blowing the rain sideways and you haven't slept for 3 days and fucking, you know, you're hating life, but you still find a way to take the piss out of it, you know, and that's just I guess the digger way.
We're very good at that. Very, very good at that.
So, you know, we've had times where it's just absolutely miserable and we just find ways to just be rolling in laughter at random shit and doing stupid shit. I mean...
Well, not even that. Like, a lot of the time, army guys just persevere.
Yeah.
Or defense guys just persevere. They just know how to tolerate with the environment around them.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't, you learn to because you don't get a bloody choice.
No,
Yeah.
definitely
But,
not.
you know, like we had dudes go out field and they set up a camp where they were staying for a while. They ended up scouting around collecting all these rocks and they made a bloody water fountain. They literally laid out all these flat rocks in an area, like paved it, built up a little fountain, and then they actually pulled one of the washer bottles and washer motors out of one of the trucks and set it up on a battery and had a little water fountain going and shit. And it's like, you know, it's just that sort of shit, you know. You just do it, make fun, you make entertainment. They made a bloody card game. They literally cut up all the ration boxes into cards and engineered their own style, like Pokemon card game style game. And they're like battling each other with these cards, but it was all, you know, random army shit. And, you know, it's just that sort of stuff.
That would have been excellent. I'll see your sergeant with the SSM.
Yeah, exactly. And just stuff like that. You know, it's something that I'll never get to experience again. And like, I mean, what other job am I going to get 4 weeks training on how to drive a piece of $1 million equipment and then just hand it the keys and go, there you go, chap. And fucking off you go. And like,
and destroy it.
hey, I don't break shit much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's you know, it's had its ups and downs, but unfortunately mine's ended in a down. But you know, I've got all the ups to look back on and the future to look forward to. So you know, it's one of those things. But life goes on; it doesn't stop. It's fucking onwards and upwards. You don't get a choice. So yeah, having blokes like this guy and you go alright.
Yeah, I hope so. So when you enlist in the army as a tradesman, like entering Ramie Corps, straight after basic training, you go into CITs, isn't it? Common Induction Training.
INTs. Employment.
No, CITs,
Initial employment training.
CITs.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
part of
yeah,
that.
that's right.
Yeah, so it gets everybody on the same level of numeracy and literacy.
History, basic maths.
Yeah.
And then everybody breaks off into their specific trade, employment induction training.
That's
Are there any really memorable moments from the both of years about that training period? Because that's usually the funnest one, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had a great time. I mean,
in trouble a lot.
Down at Latchy Boozer.
we had a good time. I think, especially from our side of things, being that we spent time in a unit first, so we'd actually been sort of real army for a few months, going sort of backwards to the training. Kind of gave us a little bit more rope to hang ourselves with because we had a unit patch and we wore it around, so we get told off for, I guess, like not marching correctly or some shit, and all the IATs all freak out, and we sort of look at the guy and just go, "Oh, sorry," and like put your hand to your ear. But as you do it, you sort of turn your arm so they see your unit patch, and they're like, "Oh no, you boys are right. Don't worry about it." Rocking up a day late to CITs, and everyone's in their bloody PDs, which is just King G uniform, and we're just rocking cams, and they're like, "Where have you guys been?" And we're like, "Well, we flew in last night." Like, and then going through that whole period with cams because we missed the issue, so we didn't get time to do it. We didn't have time, so it really individualized us, which is fine because for us as recovery mechanics anyway, we're the black sheep anyway, so why not be blacker? And rainbow. And yeah.
Gonna get me cancelled, mate.
Take it off the air. I could always say Nigeria. And it's it was definitely a bit of fun. Like we had separate lines. We may have had intoxicating beverages, which are a complete blacklist for those under training, but again, more rope to hang ourselves with. And but when we got over to the recovery school for us anyway, it was fucking mint. We had baller time. I mean, you get over there, you actually treated more like humans over at our side of the fence, and I mean, playing in mud every fucking day, towing trucks, the first couple of weeks are math and stuff, and it's a bit tedious, but once you get into playing with all this equipment and shit, and oh man, all the things we did, we had a shitload of time, and just it was baller, like and not all on bloody on base, like even on weekends and stuff. Granted, a lot of the time I went away, but we used to go out. My parents would come across because we lived nearby. Fucking, I don't know, people getting speeding tickets for trying to race jackaroos in their turboed race cars and getting pulled over by cops.
I don't know who that could have been.
But, and then, we had our awesome spatula multi-tool that was created when we were doing our gas cutting. We had a giant flaccid penis constructed out of...
we say phallus around here.
4 mil steel plate or something.
Yeah.
And that thing became our tool for everything. It worked as a hammer. It worked as a wrench. It worked as a rope handling tool. It even worked as a spatula on the barbecue.
That was. I think that was probably the best tool that I'd ever seen.
And the fact that you had to carry it everywhere if you got toilet of the week, which was great. And it was even better because a certain somebody kept getting upset about it being used for everything. But all the other higher ranks than him told him to shut up and deal with it. And it became the butt of all jokes because it'd be like, you know, oh, mate, can I just borrow your penis for a second? Just chuck it over here, mate.
Yeah,
mate.
so the penis.
I need your cock. We've got to flip the onions.
The penis we were referring to was about, what was it, like 20 centimeters long?
Yeah, it was about 20 centimetres long.
Yeah.
And it was made out of, like 3 inch, 4 inch. No,
3
sorry,
mil.
3 mil, 4 mil
Yeah.
steel plate.
That would have been so heavy. It would have been life size then.
It was amazing. I mean, just all the puns you could make out of it. Just, you know, you'd always ask for somebody else, or always ask somebody for their cock and for whatever it was. And old mate would get all upset and be like, oh, you got to stop saying that. And we're like, nah.
And I think our training went for 6 months at that point, and
Yeah.
I probably had it for 4 of those 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I loved having it. And it was the best thing too. You just carry it around, show it off to people.
Probably because it was the biggest cock
Stick
you've
it-
ever had,
I
mate.
got in trouble for putting it through my belt loop.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're like,
Hanging
mate,
in the
you can't carry it there.
Oh, look, it might have been hanging out of people's flies once or twice during the course as well.
And then I think one of the biggest shames in Ramey is coming across people who can't get into the spirit.
Oh, yeah.
And when they get awarded tool of the week, it's a big fuss. It's just a bit of fun to keep morale up.
It's just a bit of fun.
exactly what it
Always, I mean, that's the big thing about, I think, Ramey that we have, or Army in general, is just taking the piss out of each other and actually, you know, just copping it. Like, it's all just fun. It's all about that morale, like you said. And when people take it to heart, that's when it gets, you know, they get all upset shit. And it's like, just don't. It's not that bad. You know, we're just taking the piss, having a bit of fun. And, yeah, Tool of the Week's some of the best time. Like, just, you make a story up about what happened and the old 10% truth, that's all that matters. So, you know, as long as you've got that key point in there, you get some bloody good stories out of it and makes some good laughs.
Yeah. Did you have anything like that over at German Engineering?
Yeah, we had shift.
German engineer.
No, yeah, we had a shift.
Sorry, I just gassed
that
myself.
was our tool of the week. Sort of a piss take because throughout the entirety of our trade training, we're never allowed to use shifters to undo shit because I don't know.
What do you mean, mate? That's the only tool.
Strip nuts.
What if I want to strip my nuts?
Yeah, well, exactly. So yeah, the tool of the week was the shifter. I think I got it twice. Doing dumb shit out in town. Most likely, yeah. One of them was walking back from Albury to Latchford Barracks. I think it was 24 k's in the morning. That sucked. Never do that again.
Everybody's done it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was rough.
I still walked 200 metres from the blazing stump and then decided to call one of the Odgers to pick me up.
Oh, shit. Yeah, there was a guy who had it constantly once he marched in. He was just a space cadet, I suppose you could... Oh, actually, no, he was a full space trooper. He was shit at
Trump needs
everything.
in for the Space Force.
I've seen him... watched him try and drill a hole with a centre punch.
What?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. He's using the centre punch to line up his plate, line up the hole he had to drill and left it in, forgot to... So friction welded his freaking centre punch to his plate. That was hilarious.
Hey, that's worth
I was watching him from the brew room, but I knew what he was doing. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
No, that's the other great thing we do. We don't stop people doing
That's-
dumb
No,
shit.
it's a thought process.
Sit there
hey?
and watch.
Should we stop him? No, let's
You
just
see-
watch and see what happens.
He's not going to die if we
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
stop him.
pretty much. If he's going to die or seriously injured, then we might stop him.
Yeah, I'll
But
tell
hell,
someone.
we'll take the piss out of him when he fucks it up.
Yeah. There's a few freak funny accidents. One of the guys knocked himself out on a lathe chuck that was on the ground.
On the ground?
Yeah, I think he was cleaning or something. He slipped and smacked his head on it and knocked himself out cold. Oh, it's a big solid steel piece. And
Not even like it flew out of the machine or something.
Yeah.
no, it's just...
This is the dumb shit we take the piss out of.
Yeah,
It's
the mate...
great.
That happened all the time at my high
Low
school.
RPM, luckily, and he's didn't set his keys on his 3-jaw chuck. It come out. That was very loud. Another one, dude nearly lost his head. He was parting off a piece of metal. It was bright mild steel, so came out, hit the saddle, hit the chuck, and the chuck launched it past this dude's head at probably over 100k an hour and put a hole through the fucking wall. That would have killed him instantly. That was a shit your pants moment.
There's definitely been a few of them with our trade.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky, but being a recovery mechanic, all our stuff's about putting shit under immense stress with winches and stuff, and
I think it's
there's
more.
Definitely been a few times the equipment's let go and it flies, and obviously that's the most dangerous part of our job is just that shit letting go, and if it hits you, it's going to hurt. But I mean, I've been pretty lucky and not had anything go. My closest one was probably winching a tank onto a trailer and then an actual tank firing and me shitting myself thinking stuff's broken. But still glad I wore the brown underpants. But there's definitely been people, even during our course, that have had shit let go and fly past them.
It's astonishing too, because that's why we do the TPR calculation specifically for that reason.
Oh, the old TPR, mate.
I couldn't even do it now. I used to use that the laminated piece of paper on the back with all the gaps in it and just fill that out and do it that way. Everybody else remembered except for me.
Whatever works.
So.
Look, mate, being a bit smart was never your strong suit, so we'll forgive you. It's all right.
No, I think another memorable moment from especially our training was our crew. I think we had one of the best crews. We didn't break too much.
I was in it.
We had Jack as well.
Yours is a lockstep course, isn't it?
Hey?
Lockstep course.
What's that?
So if you fail something and you keep failing, they'll kick you.
If you fail something, you get sent back.
Yeah. I mean,
because the course was so short. I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah.
Because it's so short, there's not really much time to catch up. Yeah. And Tui was lucky.
So
Tom was lucky because
you get one reassessment generally, but we're a fixed course, unlike a lot of the other trades, which actually have open-ended courses, so it's a lot more lenient on that sort of shit.
Yeah, Tom was lucky because he was pre-qualified, so he failed. He didn't even fail anything. He injured himself playing rugby.
Yeah.
He blew out his knee.
Yeah, come in, and before we even started training, decided to play in rugby and did a bloody ACL or something.
I don't know.
Minor damage.
His knee was the size of a watermelon.
Yeah.
I remember that bit.
Put him out for a while, but luckily it was, early on, so the classroom stuff he got to do, and then sort of the rest of it wasn't too bad. Actually, no, he didn't do the classroom stuff because he was pre-qualified. The old chocolate Tom.
Yeah. And I think the worst part was when he came back to training, his crew consisted of two fellas that had joined the army together, bunked together, done training together. They were just brothers.
Yeah.
But the worst part about them was that they argued constantly about every little thing.
Yeah,
and
brothers.
And Tom was the outsider in the group and the only one that managed to hold it together.
He was the dad. He was
and he was the driving force too. He was always doing the work, and the other guys were arguing.
Just Big ran away, and he's dragging shit. Yeah. No, we were pretty good because I think, look, we just the amount of time that we again pissed off that same person just because we didn't rush. We were never in a hurry. Like the other guys were always like, "Get there, flat out, got to pump it out." We didn't care if it took us an hour longer. We'd talk to each other and like joke around and but we'd get the job done and get it done right. Like some of the other guys would, rush it and just fucking next thing you know, their instructor's long weekend start of leave's been ruined because he's been directed to go back out because they finished too early. And we're all heading back, going the other way, waving at them with our big smiles. And he's fucking grumpy bum driving them out back out. And
well, serves them right, but they holistically knew how to do the job.
and to be honest, there was probably a bit of help there to so he could start his leave. But he was put in his place pretty quick. But like we turn up to a job, we just start taking shit out. Fucking take a 5-minute drink break, take the piss out of each other, start going again, take another break. And, everyone else was fine with it. It was just him because all he wanted to do was get it done and go back because he was a grumpy old bastard. But, and he used to always get the shits. He's like, "What are you fucking doing?" We're like, just taking a rest break, all right? I need a smoke break. He's like, "You don't even fucking smoke." So?
Yeah, I think that's one of my strongest memories too, was doing the my assessment, I think. It was a trailer on the cliff job.
Yeah.
And it was an easy job. Everything would be going to plan. And it's like 11 o'clock come around, and I was like, you know what? Let's just have lunch. And we were sitting around, and I think our course manager at that time was like, oh, how long are you going to take? And I was like, let's take an hour.
Yeah.
And then, and then it was good because we bonded with our course manager as well.
Yeah.
And he knew what we were about.
Yeah.
Not working hard, working smart.
It's, yeah.
Mm.
The courses outside of IT is just like our specialist courses, turret maintenance and all that shit.
Mm.
But the army instructors, they're just so much better than
Mm.
IETs. I had a sergeant, he was my platoon sergeant for a bit at IETs, then he ended up being the course instructor on my turret maintenance course. Got along real well. Yeah, he was pretty damn chill. So much freaking better than IETs.
Yeah, I find that civilian instructors too, like, they tend not to buy into the army stuff too much.
Some do, some don't. It is really hit and miss. There's a few instructors I would have loved to have hit several times in IETs.
Especially the ex-army ones because they're civvies, but they know that they can get away with
Yeah.
shit. And
Civvy's the highest rank in the army.
Yeah. That's true.
We can't do nothing. We can't say nothing to them.
Mm.
It's,
Yeah. So do you think, like, from training to being in an actual unit, do you reckon there's a large disparity in how people are treated and how things are run, more importantly, I think?
I mean, definitely with a lot of jobs, at least in our fucking core. I think us specifically, not so much. Mostly because they knew we'd come from units, so they were already treating us like humans a lot more. There still was a bit of that sort of instructor stuff, but I think as well just our trade being a lot more relaxed in general, combined with us being in a unit and them knowing that, you know, they were a bit more cruisy and we were probably already just that in that mind state already because we decided that, or not decided, but we'd already spent time in a unit, so we'd already been back into that sort of area where it is a lot different. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bit understandable because you do have, you know, when you're in that training realm, you are learning. You're being taught how to do your job. So I guess it's kind of important, especially for, you know, trades where, you know, things can be a danger, like working on vehicles as a mechanic or even fitters with, you know, fitting and turning and stuff. If you're not careful with those machines or, like, you know, doing something on a vehicle and starting it or something, you can really lose body parts, get serious injuries. So it is kind of important that they have a lot more of that control because it can be dangerous, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you do, you know, it's definitely a change. Like, I mean, when you're a recruit way back when, you know, you're really very restricted and very structured, and then stepping out and going to IETs, it sort of loosens off a bit. You know, and there is a bit of more casualness, and, you know, outside looking back, it is strict, but if you're going the other way through that, you know, going from recruit training where you can't do nothing to an IET, you get a little bit more leniency, but you're still fairly restricted. And then
we got a little bit of leniency, but it was still very, very strict. When it comes to, like, the fitter IETs, the VNs and all that sort of shit. Because their main focus was to keep us as soldiers as well. So we constantly got belt fed for everything. Any stupid small thing they would hammer us for. That's why I got infringed like 5 times. But then they did give us enough rope to hang ourselves. So we were never allowed to drink in the lines. We all did. Hence why I got infringed so much. That one was just, here's a rope, freaking tie a noose. If you get caught, you're dropping. But in other regards, your uniform needed to be, like, on point. Your hair needed to be like perfect. When you marched around, you're always up shoulder height. Always marching in bloody platoon lots. None of this 2s and 3s. And that was a big shock when I went into OJTs. all that shit just become null and void. When you're in a workshop, it is a workshop. There's no army shit whatsoever. It's purely get the job done, get it done right, and get it done on time.
Yeah.
And in saying that, the time limits are massive. We can do freaking anything. We can take as long as we bloody want half the time, and we can just doctor the timings. What we say goes when it comes to maintenance. The rest of the unit has no say at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your OJTs work different because ours is just a sign-off book. We need to do 25 jobs. 5 jobs is each type of job, basically.
Yeah.
But your OJT process is way different to ours.
Yeah, so we had a full logbook. It's 300-400 pages. We had a few sign-offs at the trade school, just a few. And then we'd have to go out to every unit and say, I'll do machining on a lathe. I had to do... Every brigade is different, but mine I only had to do 3 sign-offs, so make 3 things. And you just do that throughout a period of 12 months, and eventually you'll have your whole book signed off, and that's your trade certificate. Some people take a lot longer just because they're, lazy and incompetent, or they just don't care. They're usually getting shit anyway. Or some people do it in 6 months, but the problem is you have to do 12 months of on-the-job training.
Yes, it is.
On-the-job training, no matter what.
There's no point in rushing it, I guess.
Yeah, so I timed it perfectly. I was out within 12 months, straight on the dot, over the first arm. But
ours was a lot different because it has changed a bit now. They do have a time restriction, so you do have to have a certain amount of time these days. But yeah, when we did it, it was just as soon as you got that book finished, you sent it in. So if you did all your jobs in 3 months, you send it in, you qualified, officially. And it obviously is different because we're not technically a certified mechanic or a certified fitter or anything. We are just, at the core of it, we're tow truck drivers. But we still, have to tow big vehicles with big vehicles, little vehicles with little vehicles, trailers and all that. So as long as we do those jobs, there's a lot less, I guess, riding on it as long as we do those jobs multiple times each and get them signed off.
I think we've just got to maintain a high standard on how we conduct our work, I think.
We're a bit of a jack of all trades, and once you get into it, we're not a mechanic, we're not a fitter, but a lot of recce mechs will do a bit of everything, just helping out the other boys, because as long as we're, by law, supervised by a qualified tradesperson, there's no reason why we can't do it. So, and I think we're probably closer on the mechanic side of things, definitely, because the amount of times that I've come up to a vehicle that's broken and just, whether it be wrap it with duct tape or, use cable ties to hold something together, if it is enough for that vehicle to be able to drive under its own power to be able to return for maintenance, that's obviously always going to be preferable than us towing it, because if we're towing it, we're no longer available for other taskings. So we do jerry-rig stuff from time to time just for the purpose of getting it back to be able to be repaired. So I think we sort of do end up with a bit of that jack-of-all-trades stuff.
Bush mechanic stuff.
Yeah, fucking A.
That is the best thing about Ramey is you're in an AS4, you're in there with 2 VMs, a fitter and a boffin. If something breaks down, we're all over there diagnosing, fixing. It's not just a vehicle mechanic for a freaking, an ignition issue or something, or a fitter over there for a turret. Everyone is there and learning a little bit about their trade, a little bit about his trade.
And the recce mechs there talking shit and making jaffles.
The boffins there making us bruise because they don't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
Good example is that we went out bush May last year. We're on just a 7-day X, but it was a extreme high tempo X, so we were up about 4 days straight. I think we had about maybe 2 hours sleep. We had a vehicle break down at the start of the X, so we hadn't been sleep dead yet, but it just cut out. It cut out all power, no turret power, no comms power. And with the operators, they don't tell you anything. So
they don't tell you anything
our boss
useful.
went over there because the radios had shit themselves. Anyway, he come back and he's just like, I have no idea what's going on. They said their turret power cut out like a day ago. I said, Why wouldn't you tell us this? I mean,
Service
turret power is, it's pretty freaking obvious. There's something wrong there.
Kind of important.
Yeah. Anyway, so we went over. I was like, yeah, no turret power. Your radiator's just cut out. Sounds like you're not getting power from your auxiliary batteries. So we checked the terminals. The terminals aren't loose for the first time ever. They never check them. Part of their first parade. I was like, alright, what's next? Fuse box. Look around. Oh yeah, fuse is shot. Done. And that's normally VM shit. I mean, yeah, fitters get taught a little bit of electrical stuff, but it's just those simple little things that say a VM, he knows all about it, but he just couldn't click. And I just come in as it just missed it. And having that sort of backup is just really, really handy.
And being able to bounce ideas as well half the time.
Yeah, so fitters do a lot of hydraulic shit as well. And so do the VMs, they do more than us. You two touching feet. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I was having a lot of problems with the TPA. I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't track this bloody hose. Couldn't find this pump. It's a tiny little freaking diaphragm pump. And I went and saw the VMs, and he's just like, yeah, there it is, right there. Anyway, went over there. Sure enough, it was right there. Easy. Turns out the freaking diaphragm slipped off the pump. Brand new one too.
Yeah, good operators.
That's why that was a civvy who rebuilt the pump and didn't put the diaphragms in right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, operators are their own breed.
That happens a lot now, because they don't buy new parts per se.
So a lot of our work is outsourced to civilian companies, especially with our fuel modules. They're all fished out because we don't have facilities to work on fuel. Fuel tankers and shit.
A lot of change in all the government shit now.
Yeah, it's more for economical values.
WHS and all that nowadays.
WHS
as well.
is a nightmare.
Everyone that does something these days has got to be certified on that specific thing. Like
there's no common
ridiculous.
sense.
Yeah,
there is no common sense. It's all doctrine. You know. WHS. This is why people aren't learning anything new, is because they don't fuck up. You learn by fucking up. Yeah, sometimes people die. Shit, it's a tragedy, but that's how you learn. Especially with a fitter. I mean, when you're machining something and you screw something up, you literally learn by fucking up.
Yeah, you're not going to learn. I mean, it's even as simple as like mechanics or even anyone. Like, you just don't do that bolt up, or you don't do that hose up, and you start it and it pisses out shit everywhere. Like,
especially like
back then, you go, oh shit, do it up and you're good.
And you'll never do it again.
These days, even something minimal like that, you have to write a friggin' report probably because it's why did that person get sprayed in fluid? They've got a rash that's now got to be covered by WHS, and it's like this massive chain of shit where it's like he just made a mistake. Like
we had one of the boys. He crossed his fingertip a couple months ago. It was nothing serious, just split skin and all that sort of shit. And you got to put it in a near miss report. Yeah. He's a VM. He smashes his fingers constantly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you think all of this is because the army was so far behind in WHS? They're trying to catch up, but they're doing
and the government got involved, and it got real bad, real quick. I've been ordered 3 years in a row.
Oh, really? I don't think it was. I don't know if it was completely behind in WHS. They probably were.
It was.
I'm not saying that they weren't, but the problem is that this is getting close to politics, but it gets to a point where the army's got to have some leniency to a degree, and I understand that WHS is important in that, but there is a point where sometimes we have to do things outside the box because of how we are expected to operate.
Yeah, depending on what situation. And if you don't train with that shit, and if you're overseas and something happens, you don't know how to do it.
And so I don't I'm not against WHS. It has its purpose, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to have that bit of leniency because, like Ryan just said, is overseas in the theatre sort of style. Sometimes you just got to get shit fixed.
Yeah.
It's not WHS goes completely out the window. It's not a thing over there unless you're in a fucking perfect workshop. If you're, our job, for example, as recovering medics is towing shit. Yeah, cool. There's a lot of WHS around that. You've got to put on safety adapters, safety this and that, because you don't want it to fall off on Civvy Street. Overseas, if you're in a situation where you've got to pick up something that's either broken or been exploded, it's already in the shit. They're probably getting shot at. You've got to then go in, pick it up, drag it out. You're not going to spend that extra 20 second or 30 seconds
safety vest
putting
on
safety signs on and stuff. You're just going to hook it up and get the fuck out because the priority is getting out of there without getting fucking hurt. So, and obviously that's specific to my trade, but there is that bit of a mix there. So sometimes it can be a bit overbearing and painful. So, yeah, it's definitely got a tightrope that WHS has sort of got to ride, but it just, there's so much more government and civilian red tape these days. It gets as crazy as like the sun safety stuff back in the day, like, outfield or whatever, they'd be working, obviously this is a long time ago, but they'd probably not even have a shirt on.
Heat smart is probably one of the best things the Army's introduced.
Yeah. And I there's a lot of good stuff like having the wet bulb and stuff, which essentially tells you it's too fucking hot. You need to rest your soldiers more, which is fine. But then it's fucking hot. I want to take my shirt off. Nah, you can't do that. Even if you're in the shade, like that's and sometimes that sort of stuff. It's like, that's too much in a sense.
Yeah.
But you look at footage from obviously 80s, 60s, 40s and shit. Like, back then, the dude's rocking, like, a pair of shorts.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, shorts and slouchy.
They're also having beers at lunchtime.
Yeah. Gentleman's lunch. I wish I was freaking alive then. Raimi would have been so much better.
Yeah, so, it's always going to change, and change is inevitable. Hey, look at that philosophy.
One of the best things that we did do was being more environmentally aware.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I first got to Army, it was a shit fight. There was POLs everywhere. It was just a freaking mess. But since we've been smashed with audits, it's now perfect. You got proper funding, and now there's proper doctrine on it. So you know exactly what to do, and you have no excuse if you're not doing it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page for that sort of stuff. Like, you spill something, you've got to clean it up. Like, in our bush, you fucking spill some oil.
Yeah,
you've got to dig a hole and make sure you get it all up. And I'm all for that sort of stuff, environmentally friendly. Like, it's got to be sustainable. Training areas and shit these days, you can't. Back in the day, you just tear through and just knock, tanks and that, just knocking trees down and all that. And though some of that is still allowed in training areas, they restrict it and have not quite conservation areas per se, but they'll open areas for training and then close areas to allow it to regrow.
Yeah.
So it's effectively sustainable, which is not something you'd think an army would do. But
but they changed the brief too, because
that one tree.
You can bone that place down there. Still wouldn't care.
Yeah. When they deliver the environmental brief now, they change it so that you're responsible for your training ground.
Yeah.
Like each digger's responsible for it. And it's a better way to see it, I think. Like, if you just tear it up, like, you've really got nothing fun to train with. There's no trees to hide when it gets hot.
Yeah, there's definitely accountability for things like that. And, property damage and staff is accountable these days. I mean, we had a dude that, years ago, a couple of years back, got ordered to, they were doing a night drive and they're going right next to a fence line. And he's like, that's a really bad idea to the officer in charge. He's like, you should move it off or let us use night vision or this or that, and this guy's driving a bloody 60-ton Hercules. Anyway, long story short is the officer just ignored it all and did it, and old mate ended up just touching a fence, and with a tank that's enough to grab onto it and roll it through the track, and he went through, it was like a couple of K's worth of fence.
I'm pretty sure that was me.
No, this was
I have done this.
This one was Apple, and
I was his driver. Did you do it again?
Oh, yeah, sorry, he was commanding, wasn't he?
As
Yeah,
a
you were
son,
right.
yeah.
But he'd advised them,
Yeah.
and then he did it anyway.
Well,
He went back, and the first thing he did is when they stopped, was he went to his officer and said, "Look, this has happened. I advised all this shit. This is what's happened," and the officer said, acknowledged it, whatever. Anyway, later on, fucking shit rolls downhill, massive investigation. They all come for him. He's got targets left, right, and centre, and it's a 30-40 grand repair bill that he's going to have to pay out of his pocket, and then he just turned around and said, "Well, no," and they like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Well, this is what I did. I advised against it. I tried to stop it or tried to change it to avoid it. After the incident happened, I reported it to my chain, and then in the end, it was found out that that officer hadn't further reported it, so." He was the one that was in shit. Yeah. He was accountable because it wasn't reported. And I'm all over that shit because now that guy has got to foot the bill because he didn't report it up, and it probably would have been covered, for repairs. But they tried to sting this one guy because he was in the vehicle and you were fucking driving, piece of shit. But
I don't remember it escalating that much.
Yeah, no, it went up. It went up a bit, and I know that they tried to sting him for it, and then, he just palmed it off and just went, "No, look, I spoke to these people about it, and I reported it after the fact. As long as you do that shit, you know, fuck ups happen and you get in trouble for fuck ups, but if you do report properly, you're fucking safe." And that's what I do really like about this sort of shit these days is some of this stuff is different, and that's one of the positive things from all this is that, you make a fuck up, as long as you do report it correctly, you're covered, know, and then it's somebody else's problem if they don't do the job because it's not fucking not reported and shit goes to hell. But no, it's definitely got the bits and bobs, and some things can be a pain sometimes, and you can't do that. You've got to before you do this is like, I don't know, jack stands are a common one. It's like if you jack up a vehicle, if you don't put it on jack stands before you get under it, it's the end of the world. Stuff like that is like a pain in the ass if, say, for example, you've got to jack something up, slide under there and plug something in and get out, and that's it, done. On some tasks, it actually becomes more of a pain in the ass to do it than it is to just quickly do that thing. But in a lot of the time, it can also cover your ass. So
yeah, that was a strange week. that week I was at First Armoured, and I was supposed to be following B Squadron around, and I'd followed them for most of the exercise. But then we were supposed to spend 3 days with 7RAR as like a battle group, and on the first day we picked up a broken down M1, and instead of going back to B Squadron or back to Riresh, we were told to just stay with the 7RAR workshops, and we sort of just rocked up. And
with fucking M1 in tow.
Yeah, the OC there is like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And we're like, "Well, with you guys now." And they're like, "Oh, we'll just park up until we know what to do." We're like, "Oh, are we allowed to do repairs on this?" And he's like, "Well, if you can find someone qualified on M1, go for it."
Good luck.
No, there's no one there. They don't even know what our radios look like, man. Because we had issues with our radios.
Yeah, I fucking love that. That's the best thing about the 88.
And
good old 60s technology. Fucking nobody knows how to use this shit. It was great. Even with the AS4s, some of our cars had the old radios. Fine, I know how to use them. I know how it all works. But had an issue one time. Like, look, it's not working, sir. I've done everything the way it's meant to be done. Look, I know these radios. Oh, we'll get the SIG. I'm gonna have a look. The SIG walks over.
What is that thing?
What the fuck is that? I'm like, that's a radio, mate. And he's like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "I got told you could fix it." And it was to do with like the crypto stuff, which effectively the old radios can't do the new radio crypto without breaking any laws. And effectively, the SIG's like, "Well, you can't join the net, or we all have to turn it off to be able to talk to you." And I'm like, "I know this. I said this." He's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." And, off he goes to go tell this guy. And, it's just stuff like that sometimes. It's just fucking...
Yeah, so it was pretty much useless us being there. But we were there. We were supposed to be there for 3 days. I think on the third day was when he did that night move. And that night in itself was sketchy as, because, like when you've got MVG, it's not like Call of Duty. You got one monocle. We had two between us, so I had one monocle and Apple had one monocle. And we were moving we're not only moving down roads, but we were moving down roads where other units had set up their positions.
Yeah.
But they weren't quite like they'd had gun pits and stuff right next to the road. So yeah, like sometimes I'd see the grass move and think, "Oh, is that a soldier? Oh shit, have I just run over someone?"
I don't worry about that.
Yeah, and then we had that M1 towed all night. So it like the move was supposed to go for an hour and a half. It took us 4 hours.
Yeah.
And when we were following that boundary fence, I think I tagged that fence because
M1 that tagged it, wasn't it?
yeah, because as we were coming over, I felt something huge. And I was like, shit, what is that? And the M88 made it over fine. And then the M1 got caught up on it. And I'm like,
Hit a right foot, you'll be right.
Like, Apple, we're not going anywhere, mate. What's going on? And he's like looking around. We jumped out and it was this rock. It was probably like 200 or 300 kilos. It managed to pick it up somehow and wedged it underneath the track.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so the M88's like flat and the M1's trying to climb up this huge rock. And it was just stuck. And yeah, that's when I backed up and turned. And then as he turned back, because it pivots in the middle, just clipped the fence. And
Told you so.
yeah, the best part was it wasn't my tank, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then we got to the position. Next day they were playing football and stuff around the position. It was crazy. Like,
oh, there's some funny shit sometimes. Always late in an 88.
Always. Always. How do you think, because fatigue plays a huge role on exercises and stuff, but how do you think, what do you think the impact is with fatigue in your work?
See, it's one of those funny ones because, like, I mean, personally, I fucking love fatigue. I used to, the first night, I'd be tired as shit. You rack out. But after that, I'm fine. Like, I've always been a person that can operate on fuck all sleep. And so, it never bothered me. And I think a lot of people eventually get to that point where you just become overtired and then you're just awake and you work, but you manage to pass out. So, when the job's on, you're fucking awake, you're working, and then you're just smashing it out. But then it's not uncommon to go, oh, we've got fucking 10 minutes, and just lay down on a fucking rock and just pass out. And that 10 minutes is the best sleep you've ever had. And then someone comes and kicks you, and you're off and doing something again, and you just get to that point, and you just keep going. And I guess that's also part of all the way down to its core from training, where you really are you're just constantly doing that. Deprivation stuff. And one of the promotion courses we did 3 days of it, and it's literally thought, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, it's going to be the hardest thing ever. And I've never been so hungry, but then I got to a point where I just wasn't. And you just ignore it, and you're just like, not hungry anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't eat. I think it was like an apple a day for 3 days, and that's all they gave you.
Yeah.
And the first day is hell because you're tired as hell, you're hungry as hell, that's all you think about. But then you just sort of get past it, and you just forget about it. And then as long as you're moving and doing something, and you're thinking about that thing, you just work.
You don't even notice it.
No, as long as but then
you have
the same thing. As soon as you stop, you're just like, yep, done. And you pass out, and that's just how you function, and you just learn to live with it. And it's crazy how much you can get done with no sleep and no food, and you do it, and then you pass out, and you wake up, you make a brew, you just smash some food into your face as soon as you get the opportunity, and then you just keep going. And it's another one of those things that until you've done it and experienced it, and there is people that are like, oh yeah, I've gone without sleep for 2 days, or I haven't eaten for 2 days. But when you're in that tempo where you're actually you're flat out, you're actually doing shit, you get fucking hungry, but you just and then you pass out, or you're flat out working and someone else is there cooking up food for you. They walk over and go, here, what's this? A lot of you think about it, and go, oh, what are you giving me? What have I got here? You just don't. You just literally just grab it and shove it in your face. You don't care what it is. Like, it's something. Yeah, and the amount of times you've just eaten something and you go, what the hell did I just eat? Like, you don't even know.
Just a train smash. Mashed potato train smash.
That's it.
Beef and
Train
gravy.
smash.
Oh, I don't
bet you
think...
nobody knows what a train smash is.
I don't miss the Rat Packs at all.
It's funny
You
though.
get creative.
Yeah,
bro.
the amount of things you can make out
Real
of those is
creative.
crazy. Like you just become a chef of dirt. Like it's hard to explain. You just go,
Literal dirt,
all right,
yeah.
I've got a packet of sugar, a tube of Vegemite, some peas and a sachet of coffee. What am I going to do? And somehow you make something edible out of it, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, and you eat it, and at the time you're like, fuck, this is good. Like, yeah, it's just nuts. But then I'm sure if you ate it, 3 days later after you've been at home and you've had your McDonald's and you'd eat it and you'd be like, what the fuck did I do? But
like my favourite was the 2-minute noodles, the soup, the Insta mash, and Tabasco sauce. All in one. That was
it's amazing.
on
Like,
point.
you think, oh yeah, people make noodles. A lot of people get rid of the juice or don't eat it. They eat the noodles.
Use that shit.
Who puts soup into the noodle juice? Like, and then
Insta mash.
mashed potato, throws instant mashed potato in there with the soup, and you think, oh, what the fuck? But then you've got this like say it's pumpkin soup. You've got this fucking pumpkin flavored potato, which has already got garlic through it, with a hint of beef or chicken.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
Like, what the fuck? And it actually tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Better than the actual meals usually.
and the amount of uses you get for Tabasco, it's crazy. Well, not even uses. Tabasco goes in fucking everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You
It's
just
just
put
in
Tabasco in
everything.
everything.
Even
put-
if like, you're super sensitive to heat, it still goes
It's in there.
I still put it in my mashed potato when I
Yeah.
make it. A little bit of garlic powder and
Yeah.
Tabasco.
Yeah.
makes
Good
it
shit.
better.
Old habits never die.
I remember doing my my truck course. We had one fellow who was a chef and he used to make things like he used to make cheesecake and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
But then we had this one fella who filled up his backpack with kebabs that he bought in town.
Fuck yeah.
And for a whole week he ate
What
that.
the hell?
And another dude had McDonald's burgers.
Yeah.
Uh,
They last, one of the guys, we had him, we're doing Coltana. I can't remember which one it was. We were there for fucking 8 weeks. One of the agents, he brought out just your McDoubles. They lasted 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks,
And they
no
were still
mold.
good. No mold, no nothing.
I seen a
He
video
ate it, didn't even get
Of
sick.
that, actually.
Really?
There's
Yeah.
How did he still eat it when it goes stale? It's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't go stale.
It's
the
the
thing.
sugar.
I seen this
It's the
video
sugar in the shit.
just recently, actually, of this guy claiming to have the world's oldest cheeseburger. And the guy's got the receipt when he bought it. Like, this is years ago. I don't remember the year. He'd actually, laminated the receipt because it had started to fade. And no shit, the wrapper that he had, so it kept in a little tin and it sat on his shelf. And he pulled it out and the wrapper was actually degrading. And then he opened it up. And there's this cheeseburger, and the only thing that had actually really started to deteriorate was the pickle.
Yeah.
Like, it was still held its shape. The bun had obviously fallen apart a bit. And, for some reason, he fucking sniffed it and got the reporter to sniff it. And they're like, it just smells like old cheese. Like, but it was still, you could look at it and go, that is a cheeseburger. You could tell what it was.
That's messed
That's
up.
disgusting. And we
yeah,
put that in our
and
body.
he's kept
And I probably
Oh,
will
yeah.
on the way home.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah,
I want a
probably.
cheeseburger now. I'm getting cheeseburgers on the way home. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck what you say.
Yeah.
But
think-
yeah, no, it's fucking...
That was
Yeah.
classic.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think that's another one of my favourite things about army guys. Like, there's no limit when it comes to how gross something should be.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
there is
like,
no such thing
And
as a limit.
if you ever go to a party and get drunk with army people, like, you cut it and you just stop. Like, I've heard it heaps in podcasts. They just cut it at a random point,
I'll just fade
and
it.
then no, literally just cut.
Oh, really?
It's not it just cuts, and then it goes quiet for like 2 seconds, and then they just go, and we're back, and the podcast continues like it,
Yeah.
Shit like that. But you motherfucker.
I'm not here, but I was going to try and see if I
And
can
we're
remember
back.
everything that we said. So, where were
don't
we
even
after
worry
that?
about it. Let's just keep going. We don't even have to backtrack.
Hang on. We were talking
But-
about Ryan. So, you're not doing your degree through... You're not doing it through Defence Assisted Help, eh?
No,
No.
no, I'm not. Not yet. I'm saving that money for the bigger courses.
We already told you this, Chris.
Yeah, well, there was a technical issue, alright?
So I'm only doing my Cert 4s at the moment, and there is schemes that Defence has where I can use more money to do bigger certificates.
Yeah.
Whether it be a diploma or I move on to uni, do a bachelor's, master's, what the fuck ever, they will assist with it.
Yeah.
Probably won't go to uni. There's no point. Spoken to one of my mates, he works IT, he's worked for Westpac, he's worked for some other massive companies. He's on a very, very good wage at the moment, and he did, I think, networking at TAFE, that was it.
Yeah.
He just knew what he was doing, made a name for himself, and now he's buying his second house.
We had one dude come in just to do our one at work, and all he had to do was set up a server so that our North store can speak to our South store.
Yep.
And it's just set up with an NUC computer, and he charged $350 for the day. Yeah. And he was in for 3 hours maybe, I think. He wasn't there for long. I know there would have been a lot of background stuff with software and things, but
it's all plug and play. Usually networking is just plug it in. If it doesn't work, plug a diagnostic tool in. That works. There's your problem. Reset this, update this, done.
Yeah.
Nothing to it now.
It's definitely changed from years ago when everything was, because I didn't, my first computer was a DOS computer. So you type in the commands and stuff and try and find out where the games are.
My first computer couldn't even run Counter-Strike 1.6.
I don't think I've ever played Counter-Strike.
Fucking hell, mate. Everybody's played Counter-Strike.
Duke Nukem, mate. I'm a Duke Nukem boy.
Gosh.
Screaming System of a Down and just screeching all over the place, Counter-Strike.
I could never play it. When I finally when my dad got a computer that could finally fucking play it, I still couldn't play it because I was on dial-up. Good old dial-up when mum would drop you out by a phone call. But so you try to join the server and I'd have 600 ping and back when Australia was in the stone age of technology.
Still
not
kind of
that
is.
we're not now. It's fucking
we are
internet-wise we're terrible.
Would be fucking pathetic.
I think my biggest pet hate, I fucking hated it. I have no issues with paying for speed, but the fact that in this day and age in Australia that we're still paying for data usage. Data is not finite. It's not like you can run out of data. I know you can run out of bandwidth if there's too much usage, but that's capped by speed,
it's a money grabbing thing.
Yeah,
look at some European
the fact that
usage
I pay over $80 Australian for 100 gigabytes because I'm using a wireless connector.
That's insane.
Is ridiculous. Yet if I was on a fixed line, when certain unknown company gives it to me, I would have an unlimited plan for $80. It's just nuts because it's not like they can run out of data, and it just really pisses me off that we're in a stage where you do that. And you look at,
we're a first world country.
Yeah.
Yes, we're massive and very, very spread out. But we should be way better off.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stuff.
And you're on an island. Well, so's Japan.
Yeah.
Just the fact that our internet is so rough,
and
even at its best, it's still subpar to a lot of other countries and places. It's just so annoying.
There was a time at one stage, I think it was Iran, had better internet than us.
Yeah.
Middle Eastern country.
Oh well, we'll have to go.
Not for long.
They've got a lot of oil.
Not known for being pretty beneficial to the world.
That's all right. They've got a lot of oil in Iran. I'm sure it needs to be freedomised soon.
I'm pretty sure the US is self-sustaining at the moment.
They could.
They
100%
are.
could.
I'm pretty sure they are.
I might be back in a job.
Because Los Angeles used to have a whole heap of oil rigs behind it, behind the hills.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are completely self-sustaining now.
Same as here, but we've got the largest uranium reserves in the entire world.
We just sell it all. Yes,
we've got a monopoly.
Yeah, we're purely based off
uranium.
A lot of our stuff is mining and our farming. Yeah, because we're so big and so spread out.
We're also pretty good with fires.
Yeah. That's little bastards.
That's our recent crisis, which I'm sure everybody is aware of.
Yeah, Molly was going to try and get me a contract.
Donate to charity.
Well, was going to try and get me to like how Comtrap putting native animals down. They were caught in the fires.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
were covered in burn, like just to end the suffering and stuff. But
Oh yeah, it's a thing. It's just terrible. I think I heard something recently. They like a rough estimate was like over 1 billion animals have been just extinguished.
We don't know the total. We don't know the total.
You will never know it, and like it's terrible. Like the army is now out there helping, and unfortunately, one of the big jobs is literally the corpse retrieval of animals. They're digging holes and unfortunately mass graves for animals, and I mean it's the right thing to do because it's all you can do, but it's just so devastating how
the fact that you've even done that,
I mean
you could just leave them there and then.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
that's
very
the problem.
pleasant, though.
No, because they'll rot and
spread disease.
a lot of disease and stuff.
Insects and stuff, they'll spread.
By doing this, it's sort of collating it and burying it, and it'll still all those nutrients will still be in the earth. Obviously, a couple of dead animals normally is nature's way, and that nutrient goes back into the earth, but a lot of disease can be spread from so much grief, so it's one of the shit jobs, but unfortunately it's got to be done, so that's where the army steps in. We're great at shit jobs.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys keep track. I don't know if you guys keep track, but on Facebook there's a lot of boomers that are all about getting the army involved when they have been for a long time.
Where's the army?
We were late to the show. We were late to the show.
I think some units were late to the show because they have already had like heaps of.
I was in New South Wales, pretty close to all the fires, and we should have been there earlier, evacuating towns, like force evacuating towns.
There's stuff that could have been done earlier, and but I think at least the sort of society's perception. And they're like, why isn't the army helping fighting fires and stuff? We can't. Like we're
purely logistics.
Yeah. And like one of the big things, and this is even goes across firefighters in general. Like you had the CFA, the CFS in South Australia, the New South Wales branch, RFS. But there are firefighters even, and I know Victoria more myself, but for example, the metropolitan firefighters, they're not out there helping. They can't. They're not qualified. The
have to
bushfire firefighting is a completely different beast to metropolitan firefighting. Yeah. And that's a funny thing. So for CFA volunteers and some of the full-timers, there is a special qualification they have to do before they're allowed to assist with fighting fires in buildings.
Oh, really?
Yes, because the way a fire works is completely different. Because in a metropolitan standard, like a lot of variables are different. So in houses, you've got you got to worry about gas lines, electricity, all this sort of stuff. But for example, wind doesn't do bugger all in a metropolitan fire compared to a bushfire, where wind is one of the biggest contributing factors. And even on a really hot day, if you've actually got a wind blowing the opposite direction to where the fire front was heading, it is actually very helpful to put the fire out, because it's not pushing that front. It might push it back on stuff that's already burned, which makes it harder for the fire to grow. And a lot of things like that. And so, in that sense, there are some some firefighters within defence, but
they have to be there.
The defence firefighters are at least mostly specialised in airfield and that sort of area.
Fuel fires. They're
not there for bushfires. They can't do it. But
most of them probably volunteers.
And that's another thing on its own. Though I do know of at least some defence areas actually telling any defence members that were firefighter qualified that they were pretty much released to prioritise that. So that's a good thing. But I think if anything, the biggest thing defence could have done at its core, if we were at the front of it, for example, would have been fire breaks. Yeah. And that would have been bulldozers, a lot of engineering equipment, and dudes with shovels.
Chainsaws.
Yeah, it was actually quite funny about that because they, when the official release was given for defence to help, the head of the firefighting division that was in charge, I'm not sure of who, but found out about it through social media because a certain Prime Minister didn't actually pass the information on to
really
the firefighters.
RFS Commissioner,
The
New South Wales.
RFS didn't know Defence was assisting until like social media. I mean, it was obviously social media is very, very quick, so he knew very early on. But the fact that that wasn't communicated,
you reckon it
says
should
a lot.
Yeah, that was a
through
lot of shit.
It should have come through the chain a lot
Again,
quicker.
I don't talk politics.
He should have been informed before the Prime Minister even said fucking anything. It should have been part of the planning. New South Wales was a shit fight. It was literally the perfect storm.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Extreme hot conditions, bullshit wind directions, and they just fucking just
and no fire breaks.
And no fire breaks and years and years and years worth of fuel because they won't fucking
they don't backburn.
They won't backburn them.
And that's
you look at Darwin, they backburn all the time.
Yeah. Well, they didn't last year because they had a new environmental commissioner. Or not last year, the year before.
Well,
some tells me they're going to be backburning.
It's
Well, even
one of those things like people. It's funny, and it may not happen a lot elsewhere, but in Australia, backburning is a big thing, and essentially you are lighting fires on purpose to burn out areas.
It's controlled.
And it's controlled, and it doesn't disrupt wildlife as much as people would think. Because it's a fire, but the animal's nature is that they run from fire. And funnily enough, like Darwin, for an example, because what they'll do is they'll do a big backburn, and if there is a couple of animals that get caught, those animals that do get caught in the fire or are running from the fire, actually, you'll see a lot of kites and other hunting birds will actually feed off those animals. So, but not only that, a lot of trees in that when they burn, they regrow from that, and it is
beneficial.
There's a lot of positives that actually comes from backburning, and it's controlled, and it helps because it then stops this
gigantic clusterfuck.
Clusterfuck, basically, and another big thing for like bush firefighters with that backburning is they will fight a fire by using fire, and that is by they'll actually intentionally light a fire ahead of where the fire is headed and create that barrier where everything's burned, so that when the fire hits it, its fuel load is actually significantly reduced, which helps fight fires. So that's another thing that, like, again, as I was saying, is trained to bushfires as opposed to others.
Are really, really trying to do that in New South Wales. The problem was the fucking winds. The embers that hit the winds.
Yeah, it was just terrible.
I was staying with my brother in Down. Where it was it was New Year's Eve. Worst day. It was one of the worst days. And it was the sun was blotted out, and we're bloody 50 k's north of one of the major fires down near Nara.
Whoa, that's loud.
Sorry.
And fucking ash everywhere. It's just the pool was just ash freaking everywhere, and we're 50 k's. Just the fires, the ash would hit the bloody air rifts and just go.
Yeah. I was just googling just then the movie Only the Brave. It's got Josh Brolin. It's about the Black.
Haven't even seen it yet.
Black Friday fires.
Yeah, I really want to see that.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like, it's got that young fella from the new Fantastic Four.
There's a new Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's terrible, but
I have no doubt because they fuck it every time.
Yeah, that was probably, if I recall correctly, the last big thing we had was Black Friday. Was the last big
major
fire.
Natural disaster.
And funnily enough, fire. As well.
No one understands Australian wildfires.
Yeah.
They don't. They see we're burning, and they're just like, oh yeah, that's just Australia. But they don't understand how fucking bad it is. This eucalyptus is a goddamn fucking exploding.
It's
fuel.
oil, like
it is literal fuel.
It's
I mean, you look at the Californian wildfires; they're fucking nuts. But they don't even compare to ours because our lands are so spread out and so fucking dense. It just turns insane.
It's a different ball.
Yeah. And
But, yeah.
thank you for bloody Canada and
Yeah, I was
the US
gonna say
and
that.
firefighters over and New Zealand.
That was pretty
Japan.
cool. I thought
Yeah,
that
fucking-
was awesome.
We usually
Japan
do that for
sent
them
some,
as well.
yeah.
We just send out.
Japan's actually just landed a couple of C-130s as well.
Oh, did they? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was
Well,
watching-
actually, thank you everyone that's
Yeah.
helped.
all there's heaps. So I think the ones I know of off the top of my head, USA, Canada, New Zealand bought firefighters.
New Zealand Army's here
New
too.
Zealand Army's here, and then Japan bought across a couple of C-130s to assist with just logistical stuff, and it was actually quite funny watching that video because the interpreter that was there was saying, like, the guy was actually saying they've done this, they're very thankful because when they had a natural disaster a while ago, we sent across a lot of aid to them,
Yeah.
which is it's good to see because it probably sounds funny, but my mind went back to the 40s straight away, and just obviously back in the 40s, completely different ball game. They're on the other side of the fence,
Yeah,
and
we
now
got nothing.
we're one of the, I wouldn't say greatest allies, but we are Japan and Australia are pretty
I
really
love
close.
Japan. I'd love to live there.
Yeah, and
They're amazing.
yeah, so like it's
Their
really
culture
good
is
that we
amazing.
are getting a lot of help because we really do need it.
Yeah.
So
We always help other nations, and it's good to see we're actually getting help back. It really is.
Yeah.
We always help Indonesia when they get smashed by a tsunami.
Mm.
We always assist New Zealand if something bad happens.
we really we are actually quite a we do a lot of
Yanks,
I guess
everyone.
crisis relief or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
I think it's called the army call it DAC tasking.
yeah,
The defense
maybe.
assistance to civilian communities.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different. I think that's more.
Acronyms.
I think that's more of the national
Yeah.
version, but it's disaster relief essentially at its
Mm.
core, and not just military. They do a lot of, obviously there's a lot of those like charity
companies,
and that do assist, and there's heaps of it. But it is, as unfortunate as it is that it happened, it is good to see that now that we're in a state where we really do need help, that we have those places and people coming to help, because it does really, it does show.
It brings morale.
Yeah,
One.
it really does, and it just, there's probably nothing I can imagine, never having been in a situation greater than being in a situation where these people are, and seeing people coming to help. It's got to be the greatest relief in a time that you really are at a really big low. So yeah, and fucking hearts go out to all those people. It's fucking, it is terrible. I
know people have been affected. Bloody, my wedding venue got burnt down. That was supposed to be going to January next year. I feel absolutely terrible for those people. They've lost fucking everything. It was completely total. Kangaroo Valley. Bloody Terry's cousins lost his Better Electrical in Bateman's Bay. They got slaughtered. And it's just turned to shit. I had family in direct line of fire in St George's Basin, but luckily they managed to keep it away. It was a freaking shit time. Especially being there in New South Wales, not being able to do fucking anything. That was my biggest. I like to help.
Yeah, and being,
and I did get recalled, and yes, I'm injured, but there was still shit I could could have easily done. Could run phones. I can get parts out to people to fix generators. Fucking anything, and they didn't recall me. But
I was actually I was
pretty pissed off about that.
very close to going and seeing a doctor and actually getting a medical waiver saying I'm clear to go help.
Yeah.
Because I would have taken the pain that like my back gives me when I'm wearing all that shit to be able to go out, help, drive a vehicle, because the mindset, I guess, of us in general is if the pain I'm suffering is less than the pain they're suffering, I'm helping, and that's probably not good for us in our body sense. But I wouldn't have pissed off because I used to be a volunteer firefighter, and that's something I've really thought about getting back into, but I probably shouldn't because of my back and shit. So
You should, but like,
well, the problem is though,
well, you can run CP. You can run radios.
Well, I've considered offering, looking into it, and even if it's a volunteer as a administration, like finances or something. So who knows?
yeah, like You should definitely do. I reckon you should do that once you get out. Like my brother still does it, and he works for a gas plant.
Yeah.
So he's like on shift all the time, and
I do know. Well, the other, I guess, sort of thing that's going to happen now is that probably what happens after a time like this is a lot of people will actually volunteer, and there is a limit to volunteers. Funnily enough, a lot of people don't think about that as well. There is they can only take so many.
Yeah.
So it is possible that the brigade is full, which is just a thing that happens as well. So
well, many hands make light work, but at the same time, you can have too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah, that is a big problem.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that it's all happening. It's one of those things where, unfortunately, sometimes it takes the worst things to see the best out of people as well. But the amount of support that's gone out, even from communities, like I've seen photos of coffee shops and from owners, just literally a sign on the door that says, "Yeah, look, we're closed. If you're a firefighter or you've lost your house, call me and I'll come anytime, make you a coffee, cook you breakfast."
Yep.
There's I believe there was a huge might have been a Facebook page or something, or a group essentially of people offering their homes for people to come stay. People have just donating items of old items they no longer need. People have donated money. Like, it's all just great. It really is.
There's one thing I would say about Australian communities. We know how to band together.
Oh yeah,
very, very good.
And it doesn't matter who they are. Like, you could have the bloke next to you that you just absolutely despise, and in these times, like, Aussies always just come together. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, you're all there. Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah, well, we came out with the word mateship, so
that's it. Yeah. Mate's our word. Fuck off. All right.
It's a shame it's taken like all these conditions usually come under just disasters and stuff. That's when people put their hearts out.
Yeah, it is shit in that situation.
Yeah, but like you said, like, it's good that people go to that extent.
Yeah.
And,
but I don't see it anywhere else ever. I don't think I've ever seen camaraderie. I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere else in the world. And what we've done.
Yeah, not to the extent that we go to. I don't think. For sure. But
I mean, look, what was that donation the comedian Sheila did?
Oh,
that was in tens of millions.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one that put out the nudes?
No, that was a comedian.
I'll link you to that one.
I've already all over.
Already donated. I donated $100, but I donated it in dollars. She was a comedian that basically started, it might have been like a GoFundMe or one of those sort of things, and effectively just everyone donated to it, and even all the, like, there's been actors and staff donating $500,000.
Whether it's a publicity stunt, I don't give a shit. They're still spending fucking shit tons of money.
Just in general, like, donations have been
tax
crazy.
write-off, but
but just
thanks.
Anyone that donates is always going to be thanked by everyone, whether or not you hear it. And, the people that unfortunately have lost a lot are going to need a lot back to rebuild, because, I mean, and they'll never get everything back. Because unfortunately, with houses, companies. It is. Ooh. And unfortunately, the biggest thing, like, doesn't matter, like, how much money, how much whatever. Like, a lot of homes and stuff, there is
items,
like photos and memories, and those things can never be tragic shit bought back by money, which is unfortunate. So, but any assistance is always great.
Yeah. I was listening to the radio the other day, and Westpac Insurance actually covers everything lost in wildfires.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a huge transition from when, because I was in Queensland during the floods in 2012.
Yeah.
And they'd blacklisted heaps of properties just because they were in flood. They blacklisted after it flooded.
Yeah, low areas. And,
so heaps of people were stitched up because it was classed as swampland.
Yeah, it don't.
But it was postcode by postcode as well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big, like, more general in Australia. I think, like, wildfire is one of those things that's a default coverage. Like, one of the funny ones for us, like, in Darwin, when we got insured, was actually, ensuring that the specific insurance company covered for cyclones, because not all of them do.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, really?
it's not a thing in Australia,
I
except
never thought
for
about it.
sort of up that northern coast. Cyclone cover, you know, that's not a big thing in Australia in general. Like, I think Cyclone Tracy was the last one ever that's actually done anything significant other than, you know, just a bit of wind and blowing some shit around. So, that's an old one, and I guess sort of similar to a lot of the. We had a lot of storms, and they had that hail that was falling down size of like baseballs and stuff that just destroyed cars.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I believe, didn't get insurance because their insurance didn't actually cover hail.
Yeah.
Because it's Australia. We fucking, you know.
Yeah, we've got a lot of weird weather patterns.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. One place would be burning to the ground, the other place would be flooding.
And yes, it does get cold here.
Yes.
It definitely
Not
does.
as cold as some fucking places, which are just bullshit anyway, because anything below 23 degrees Celsius is too fucking cold. But
Well, it's just like Adelaide, we get 47-degree days, and during winter we can hit the negatives.
yeah,
Pretty, like,
only just.
unjust, but we're still getting 47 fucking degrees.
Yeah.
And going from that to that is pretty extreme.
Especially with the time that it happens too. Yeah, it's very. It can go from hot to cold pretty quick.
What was it? Just before I went on leave, we had 4 days in a row where it was over 45 degrees.
Yeah, and then the day after it was in the 20s.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, that was the day I flew out and it was 40 in Sydney.
Well, that's all right. We had one of those 40-degree days was when we lost power.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I had no power at home, and it was out for like 6 hours. The report said
really?
said they weren't going to repair it till after midnight, which was going to be over 12 hours. But it was about 6 hours by the time power came back on. I ended up sitting outside, and the wind that was blowing was just as hot as the actual heat. And I ended up actually turning the sprinkler on and sitting in a chair and using the sprinkler and the wind to try and make a sort of evaporative cooling effect to try and stay cool because it was that bloody hot. It was just crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, that week was scary because especially like one of our dogs is a bit older,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck! If I come back and she's curled up in the corner, not moving, I don't know what I'm gonna do."
I got a little shell pull for my dogs, especially with Rogue's black German Shepherd. She's a real thick coat. Just chuck her in the pool. She just sits there and lays there on a hose her. She loves it.
Yeah. My dogs aren't smart enough to sit in the bloody water.
Colt's a bloody pansy every time
I used to have,
he runs off.
When I lived on that big property in Darwin, I used to have one of those the nurture sprinklers, the ones that tap.
Yeah.
And Aurora would sit in front of it and just let it hit her, and then I'd just close it off so it just points at her and she'd stay there all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the weather there is definitely perfect storm for fires. And I remember Gumraka and stuff all went up. I think the place that made our work wine as well is gone. It's up in Barossa Hills.
Yeah, the hills got smashed. That was 72 homes within 24 hours. Something like that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Just went.
It's crazy.
And Kangaroo Island pretty much entirely burnt down. I think more than half, 2/3 up to 2/3 been crispy.
I heard a rumour that they were getting M1 dozer blades from the States.
Really?
Yeah, to put on M1s to take across to Kangaroo Island.
They had them at Armand already. They had them last year before I left.
Trenching tools.
Those massive freaking.
No, is that the
shovel
mine?
things with it might have been a mine.
The mine sweeper. Yeah, the mine clearers are. That's
That'll
ridiculous. They weigh 6 tons.
Yeah.
And they when they put them on the M1, it weighs the front down heaps. So you use the skids to push the front back up. It's I've never seen them. I've seen them use it once, but
they just sat there.
They're good for carrying blow up dolls around. Yeah. For sure.
What are you talking about?
Talk about your phone.
Oh, it's going off. It's fucking definitely going off. It's Molly. Fuck up.
Just talking about your Facebook message, you dickhead.
Oh.
But yeah. Oh well, unfortunate as the fires are, all that shit, at least we've got support coming in and we'll get through it, as Australia always fucking does.
We've been going for about 2 hours. I reckon we should call it.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, that's alright. I'll edit the shit out
Nah,
of it
cheers,
later.
Yeah,
fabulous.
talk shit.
No,
It's
it was
quite
thanks for
fun.
coming on.
That's right.
No worries, mate.
Yeah,
We'll have to do it again sometime.
yeah, for sure.
Even if I'm
we'll
not
get you
here,
set up.
I can do it fucking...
Yeah, I want to set up a
Give me
remote
work.
thing. And,
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to do it.
yeah, just show me what Discord was. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck's Discord?
He's like, so what's this do? And I'm like, fuck. So
Yeah,
I'll
that's
teach
right.
you
I
some
used to
things.
like that. It used to
Because,
be purely console game.
Then we can all do it from fucking home and then actually
Yeah,
like,
chew the
if you get guests or whatever as well, you can either
Mm.
you can actually set it up and you can have them live and then have it heard through the Discord or whatever, and then we can remotely talk, or there's heaps of different shit.
Yeah.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, anyway, thanks for coming on, guys.
No,
worries, mate.
Hopefully you'll be in here again.
Insert handshake here.
Gee, what a week it's been. Please like and subscribe to Tall's Instagram, What a Week Off-Road Adventures, linked in the bio. He does amazing work with currently serving members and ex-defense members, helping them overcome the stresses of mundane and trivial taskings in the workplace that can cause frustration and anxiety. By taking them away from their stressful environments and out camping, fishing, four-wheel driving, or just going out for beers, What a Week provides the opportunity to have a laugh at the shortfalls of the past week with like-minded individuals that understand how you feel and probably feel the same. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in to my buddies. Feel free to head over to Zach's YouTube page, Aussie Lightning, linked below. If you would like to hear more, you can support this podcast, well, just by listening. I don't accept donations as of yet, and I use all my own spare time to bring interesting content for you to take in subjectively. But please head over to my Instagram, The Recovery Channel, AUS, all one word, and feel free to reach out to me on my email, therecoverychannel@outlook.com. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next time.